Wendy was recently described by Chris Galis on Global BC on the 6 o'clock news as a force of nature, and that it's one of the best ways that you could describe Wendy. I mean, she's truly an incredible woman, and she's a serial entrepreneur. She's specialized in the hospitality industry. We've already talked about her hotel, and she founded Absolute Spa Group like 17 years ago. And she's grown the company from one single spa location into Canada's largest independent spa chain, which is a huge feat. And she's received so many incredible awards in the spa industry. But she didn't stop there. She's spun off various other businesses and been able to leverage what she's built in the spa industry. And she'll be talking about a lot of that today, so I won't get into it. But the really amazing thing about Wendy is her drive and desire to give back to the community, and it just comes so naturally, and it's with this incredible passion. And she's been very involved with the Board of Trade. She was their fifth and youngest female chair in the 128-year history of the Board of Trade. And she was the Vancouver Police Foundation's first female trustee, and she serves as a director on BC Lottery Corporation. She was a founding director of Destination BC, co-founded the Pacific Family Autism Center, which I know she'll talk about today, and she's so proud of. It's a charitable organization that serves the needs of individuals with autism and all related disabilities and their families across their lifespan. She has a long list of accolades, including the Order of British Columbia, Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal. I mean, you name it, Wendy has won it, and it's in such a well-deserved way. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Wendy, and the fact that she's going to need to leave here promptly at 12:15, so she's going to speak, and then we're going to take questions, and then she's going to scoot out because she has a seat right next to the minister at the Board of Trade lunch. And this is very important for what she's doing in the autism world. So without further ado, Wendy Lisogar Cocchia.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Christina. And I don't know how I can live up. I thought, is she ever going to stop? I'm a huge fan of Christina's. As I see her as a colleague, but also as a mentor and somebody that I phone constantly. Do you know somebody that does this, and who would be the best person for that, and what do you think about this? And can you believe he said that at a board meeting? So thank you very much for asking me, Christina, here today. And I'm also a huge fan of FW, as Christina stated, and really honored to be asked to be here today, and it's really superb as well to place some names and faces to the wonderful bios that I read on all of you. And I really wanted to also meet my fellow spa colleague and also the young lady from Trail, where my husband came from, actually. So good job, Trail. So thank you very much for having me this morning. It's not very often that you get in a room with this many driven and diverse and talented entrepreneurs, for sure. And if I leave you with just one thought today to support your business, it would be these two words: it works. And I'll tell you why. As entrepreneurs, I feel that we share many traits, but a few that have served me well, three in particular over the years, have been passion, persistence, and confidence. And the reason for that is it's helped me combat a phrase that I've heard over and over again when I've wanted to start new entrepreneurial ventures, and those are, "It will never work." I can't believe how many times that's been said to my face or not to my face. And so my first thought when I heard that was, who says that? Who thinks that way? But immediately it made me, release my inner roar and say, hey, you, game on. And so today I'll talk to you a little bit about a few of the entrepreneurial ventures that I've come to experience over the years, and how I've used these three traits of passion, persistence, and confidence to target these businesses and entrepreneurial philanthropic ventures. So my first entrepreneurial venture was a small spa in 1998, and I'm very passionate about the health and wellness industry. I absolutely love it. I love making people feel better about themselves, and I love increasing the quality in somebody's life. And so those feelings, I think, came from the entrepreneurial family that I grew up in. My parents, when I was 10 years old, built and opened the Century Plaza Hotel that I understand some of you are with, and I hope everything's good there for you. My dad came from a Ukrainian immigrant family. They immigrated to Alberta, to Hinton, and grew up on a farm there. And my mom grew up in a two-parent working family in a small apartment. So they started with absolutely nothing, and they worked like crazy, worked tirelessly to around the clock to make their businesses and our lives, our family, a success. On a daily basis, I would witness my parents' love for their business, but also their love for the people that were in their lives, our guests and extended family, meaning our team, our hotel employees. And you're really passionate about your work. It doesn't feel like work. I was really fortunate. When I was 10, I started working in the hotel beside my parents. And so I got the pleasure to actually do every single job in the hotel and every single department throughout my childhood and then into young adulthood. And I thought my dad was moving me around from job to job just because I was completely nailing it, but he just really wanted me to keep me out of his office. And when I was 23 years old, we had a tragedy in our family. My father had a very severe stroke, and so I was put at the helm for the family of running the business. A few years later, I got a real strong entrepreneurial itch to do something myself. The hotel is amazing, but it was my parents, and I wanted something to really call my own. So in the hotel, a lease became available that used to be a bank, and I thought immediately as I really wanted to build a spa. So now came the negotiation of the century. As my father didn't want me to build a spa, he wanted me to concentrate on the family business. So what did he do? He doubled the rent, and when I talked to him about getting a loan, he just laughed and said, have some luck at the bank, good luck. This is when, from other people, I heard the first utterance of doubt of, she wants to put a 5-star luxury spa in a 3.5-star hotel. What does she think she could do that for? Is she wants to have celebrities, Hollywood North, come into the hotel? It will never work. And it was with those words that it brought the inner beast in me to unleash of, I'm going to make that work. So in our hotel lobby, I opened Spa of the Century. And when it started, we had 3 treatment rooms and 4 staff. And I thought I nailed the business world. And with only a few years, the spa, our flagship spa, expanded many times to 15,000 square feet. And we opened up our second business, a mobile spa. So a chain was born. Spa of the Century became Absolute Spa of the Century, and the Absolute Spa Group began. We opened up our third business in the new Fairmont Airport Hotel, a gorgeous new luxury modern hotel, and we were touted as one of the world's first spas in first airports, hotels. And then came our fourth. And on our fourth, it came as a result of when I was doing some traveling, researching spa global trends. And I was traveling through SeaTac Airport on my way to the gate, and I came across these 3 plastic green massage chairs. I can just see them like it was yesterday. And I had this ingenious idea. I ran over to the payphone, that's how long ago it was, and I phoned the president of the International Vancouver Airport, which I didn't know him from Adam, and I cold called him, and I was shocked that I got through. And I said, Mr. Berg, I've got this ingenious idea is that you should have in your award-winning Vancouver International Airport an award-winning luxury spa, not just massage chairs that are like at SeaTac Airport. And he said to me, that's a brilliant idea, Wendy, and I think it will absolutely work, and we've already thought of it. He said, we've already released an RFP, and you're welcome to apply. And I said, thank you so much. And I thought to myself, I have no idea what an RFP is. And so I looked it up and did some homework and got to work, and we won that RFP. The airport spas were an immediate success, and over the next few years, we opened up 4 airport spas at Vancouver International. As innovation breeds innovation, we even created a mobile airport spa so that if you can't leave your gate or you don't want to leave the first class lounge with your glass of wine in hand, we can come to you. Then came spa number 8, the iconic Fairmont Hotel Vancouver, and number 9, the beautiful and very successful in Richmond River Rock Casino Hotel and Resort. It's due to our amazing team and 100% due to them that the Absolute Spa Group has been praised by the media as Canada's largest and most luxurious independent spa chain. The team has won Best Spa and number 1 spa over 75 times, nationally and internationally. We grew from 3 treatment suites that we started at to over 100 and 4 team members. We now employ over 200. The Absolute Spa and its team have appeared in USA Today, the Wall Street Journal, InStyle magazine, and 3 international Vogues. We are frequented by hundreds of celebrities. We have got Gwyneth Paltrow ready for the Oscars, worked with Matt Damon while he's in town, and even prepared Jennifer Lopez for the cover of Esquire magazine by custom blending some polishes for her manicure and pedicure. The Queen even wrote us a nice letter about our chocolate spa products, saying that they were delightful. So just imagine if I didn't feel so passionate about the spa and health and wellness industry, and if I had have listened to those first people that said it will never work, I wouldn't be standing before you today, and Absolute Spa would not be here. So that's passion. Let's talk a little bit about persistence. Our second business venture, an international spa product distribution company. Now, this business grew organically from the Absolute Spa Group, and little did I know how much persistence it was going to take. As I came to understand the small margins in the spa business, which are really small compared to the hotel industry, I thought to myself, how could I leverage this spa business to maximize the market opportunity? And I couldn't adjust the labor cost anymore, and the only cost of significance left was product. So I had this idea to create this product wholesale company, and I thought this new distribution company could not only wholesale to our Absolute Spa chain and help us with our margins, but my dream was to hundreds of other spas. I didn't know anything about the import, export, manufacturing, or distribution company. It was right up there with the RFP story. This was a business model back then and really today that you're either a spa or you're a wholesale distribution company. You're not both. And the spa industry definitely told me loud and clear, it will never work. We will never purchase product from you. And the reason is that spa owners are very skeptical about purchasing product from their competitors because they believe that their success is based upon being unique. And they think that based upon being unique is that you have to have product exclusivity. But I saw it very differently. I thought, what if I could actually take our Absolute Spa secrets and I could share them with our competitors? Because is that with the new product distribution company, I thought, what would I share? Well, I would share information about our advertising and our marketing and our merchandising and our training. And what does that all revolve around? Product. So I thought we could be a one-stop shop. What would I dream of as a spa owner starting out? A one-stop shop for solutions. And I thought, there's the name for this new company, Soluzione, which means solution in Italian. So great concept, right? Makes great financial sense, super. Now all I had to do was go out and find all of these different international product lines. That was going to take a lot of persistence. I thought, we need the best in the world. We need the best in the world for aromatherapy and skin care and tanner and mud and polish and men's care and kids care, and it's going to take a lot of work. I was relentless with international spa product companies because they constantly said no, no thank you, and no. I called, met, pitched, communicated, and called, met, and pitched, and communicated for years and years and years. And the result, Soluzione is 16 years old now. We have over 2,000 spa accounts, an international company, both import and export, and we just landed a distributor in Dubai. I just got back from Dubai, and yes, I rode a camel. It took me years and years, and there were so many no's, and one by one, those no's did turn into yeses. And never, ever take no for an answer. Do you know what happened to the last guy that said no to me? He married me. The final two ventures that I will share with you are very entrepreneurial nature and really illustrate the need to dig deep for confidence. These ventures are very different in the sense that they are not for profit, and that means that this is when you work really, really hard for free. These initiatives are about volunteering and philanthropic efforts. I had the great honor to be the Vancouver Board of Chair for the 2012 term. The Vancouver Board of Trade is arguably one of Canada's leading business organizations that government and others turn to for policy guidance as well as event hosting. As Christina mentioned, I was their 5th female chair in 128 years. And this was the year, the only year in history, that the Vancouver Board of Trade found itself in deficit. The reason why is the recessionary times had caught up to it, just like other not-for-profits were experiencing that as well. My term started at the AGM when we would announce this massive deficit, and if that was not traumatic enough, a terrible thing happened the night before the AGM in Vancouver, a citywide tragedy, the Stanley Cup riot. The AGM was supposed to take place 7 hours after the Stanley Cup riot. I was up all night at the hotel as the major hospital downtown is right next door to us, and the hotel served as triage on Burrard Street. My phone was ringing off the hook. Is the AGM on? Everybody was frantic. We had an amazing program lined up for the event at lunch. Our new Premier, BC's first female Premier-elect, was just 3 weeks shy into her term. The Honourable Christy Clark had agreed to be interviewed by one of my news idols, Lesley Stahl from 60 Minutes. Lesley Stahl was an amazing trailblazer in the news industry for women. The Premier's team called me in the morning, really early. Is the AGM on? What's going on? Should it be on? Lesley Stahl called me in the middle of the night from New York as she was going to be catching the red eye. Is it safe? Is your meeting still on? There was no roadmap ahead for these challenges. It was an inauspicious start, but like rain on your wedding day, and it did rain on my wedding day 25 years ago, it just came to symbolize that really good things lay ahead. The AGM did take place with both the Premier and Lesley Stahl, and financially, the Board of Trade ended the year in the black. It was due to the team 100%, and it was that same team of Vancouver Board of Trade volunteers and staff that created some unprecedented opportunities. But let's talk about confidence. So unprecedented, I found myself questioning, can I do this? These opportunities required me to completely step outside my comfort zone. And I think as entrepreneurs, it's really important that we constantly push ourselves to step outside our comfort zones. As chair of the Vancouver Board of Trade, I was asked to conduct an interview, to be the interviewer. I'd been interviewed before, but I have never been the interviewer. And I thought, how hard could that be? Well, they said to me, it's going to take place at Rogers Arena. Oh, okay. It's going to be in front of 10,000 people. Oh, and the interviewee, Ellen DeGeneres, you're going to be interviewing Ellen. And I idolize Ellen. And I was so outside my comfort zone, I can't tell you. Ellen asked to meet with me before the interview and to go over some things, and just so that we could have a chance to bond, she said. And I was so incredibly nervous, but she's exactly as you would think she is. Smart, articulate, kind, considerate, and just Ellen. The other entrepreneur on my bucket list to meet is Sir Richard Branson, and that one also came true. When Virgin launched and landed in Vancouver for their flights, the Vancouver Board of Trade landed Sir Richard for their keynote at luncheon right away. The night prior to the luncheon, I was invited to attend a small dinner with approximately 10 other entrepreneurs, philanthropists, and these people, these men, all men, came from across the country, and they were all self-made billionaires, I would argue, if not multi-millionaires. Again, I felt completely outside the Wendy zone. And in person, Sir Richard is exactly what you see in the media. He's an amazing entrepreneurial role model, down to earth, and the master in thinking outside the box, and the master in branding. And I love branding. I thought to myself, okay, what could I do to see if he would notice me? Is that maybe, why don't I logo my toenails with the perfect Virgin logo. So at the cocktail party the night prior to the dinner, we were standing there having a nice conversation with a few people, and all of a sudden he is completely horizontal, flat on the floor, he's removed my shoe, and he's kissing my virgin toes. And all I could think of was my feet stink because I was so nervous. I've even got pictures of that one. I will finish with my most important venture to prove the pundits wrong, one where failure is absolutely not an option, a philanthropic journey that's very near and dear to my heart. Now, entrepreneurship will turn really raw and personal. This one took every ounce of passion, every grain of persistence, and constant self-talk of confidence to continue in the face of, Wendy, it will never work. When my son was 3, the doctor said to me, your son has autism. He will most likely never speak. Go home and enjoy your other child. That was 18 years ago, and I was a deer in the headlights. For years, I struggled to find information, support, resources, and help. Eventually, I started an autism charity with my husband. I thought this should be a charity about collaboration because there's a lot of great autism groups and other groups out there doing spectacular work. So why is it so hard to find information and support? The goal, I thought, would be to centralize this information and resources and create numerous locations so that all of that information could then be disseminated out to those in need. Now, why would anybody say it will never happen? Why would anybody not support an autism collaboration, and why would anybody not support autism centers? Well, there are many factional groups in autism who have very strong beliefs in different therapies and different approaches. All of these different groups are also fighting for the same dollars. The community was extremely fragmented, and they couldn't get any significant traction from governments at all levels, as well as other large charities to support autism. I thought, unless we can find some common ground and band together, nothing's going to happen here. So I knew one thing is that families and individuals really would benefit if we could make this happen. Families needed one place to start, a phone number, a website, one place. And our goal was to reach as many people possible to help disseminate the feelings of complete despair and brutal hopelessness that come with autism. The University of Wisconsin 2010 study states that parents of children with autism were twice as likely to divorce as couples who had children without disabilities. The Autism Spectrum Disorders Journal 2013 states the percentage of children with autism who contemplate or attempt suicide is 28 times greater than that of typical children. Many cynics have stated that this collaboration of this magnitude that I was dreaming of is completely a pipe dream. It took me an entire year of having coffees with so many different groups, and I don't do coffee, just to get them to say that they will come in the room together just to start a conversation. Well, fast forward to 2016 now, and there's good news on the horizon. With the hard work of over 60 different groups that did agree to come to the table, and we've been talking for the past 8 years and working on the collaboration, we are opening the doors to this center, first of its kind of a hub and spokes model, this October in Richmond. The hub is 60,000 square feet in Richmond. It will be called the Good Life Fitness Autism Family Hub. And we have 8 smaller spokes with our Pacific Autism Family Foundation charity opening throughout British Columbia later on as well. Not only will this be for autism, but it will be for all related disorders. It doesn't matter what the diagnosis is, just the need. What is the challenge? And it also serves those across their lifespan because you need help whether you're 6 months old or a senior citizen living with autism. We've raised over $31 million to date, and we've connected not only groups across BC, but also across Canada and the US and even the UK. So, the next time somebody tells you that it will never work, unleash your passion and ensure you love what you do, unleash your persistence, and ensure that you are very, very relentless, and unleash your confidence. Never, ever let anybody tell you that you can't do it or intimidate you. And then you look them in the eye and you say, it worked. Thank you.
Isn't she amazing? Yeah, no, she really is, and she's so nice. Like, she really is as nice as she seems.
I'm blushing. Stop.
I want to see the picture of the toes. You should have it up there and for a picture. Yeah. Maybe we'll circulate it.
Yeah.
You're like, maybe not. We have some time for a few questions here for Wendy, and so we have about 15 minutes for questions, depending. So please, and there's dessert coming out. So please, ask away. The floor is for questions for Wendy.
Yes.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
I feel so honored to see you today because just yesterday I spent 2 hours with Janet and her son discussing the Autism Speaks walk.
Yes.
And you know the details. And so to come in the room today and see you, I feel honored.
Thank you.
So my question is, you do so much, and yet you still find so much time to give back, especially if you look at the autism family space that you're working on. How do you do it? And having a child that has disability as well.
My husband is completely neglected. My garage is a mess, and I have a terrific team of support. I think that many of us have people in our lives that are our key supporters, our family, our loved ones, but also for my businesses and my charity, we have leads in each of our companies or charities, and I really lean hard on them and really depend on them. They're completely our partners in everything, and except we have the debt. And And I think that that's the thing, is surround yourself with really good people. It sounds so corny. I think we've all heard it many, many times, but it's absolutely imperative. And Janet Anderson and Autism Speaks would be a great example of that. They were our first national sponsor, Autism Speaks Canada, that came on board for $500,000 and surprised us actually on the microphone on the platform at one of their first walks here in Vancouver. So we're honored to have them in our building. Thank you for your kind words. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for a really inspiring speech. My question is, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer it, but when you are going into situations where you feel, you're going to a dinner with multimillionaires and billionaires and you feel kind of out of the winner's circle, or you're intimidated or that sort of thing, what's your kind of internal process to be confident in situations where you're really uncomfortable?
I think that's a fabulous question. And I think if I could only talk about one thing with all of you and get your advice, this would be the question. What I found early on, and it was really a serendipitous happening, is when I was 23 and I took over my family's company, it was all men at the management table and all men that I would be dealing with, and just all men everywhere. Women were not around in a significant way like we are today. And so with it being such a shock, me taking over the company, to myself and them, they were not ready to play ball whatsoever. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to let my family's company go under. It wasn't breaking even yet, as the company was still very new. And I thought, with my father being so ill in the hospital, I have to have this in really good shape for when he gets better. And I just ignored the fact that they didn't want to work with me, and they were men, and I thought, we just have a job to do, we just need to get it done, let's just go for it. And it was amazing when I just sort of put my blinders on. And if I had to do that by self-talk, I probably couldn't have done it. I was in such an emergency situation that I just had to be action-orientated, and that's what I found. And it's still the same thing today, is that, Christina and I worked together on a few different boards and volunteer opportunities, and still to this day, recently when I was introduced for one of these new groups, instead of the chair getting up and introducing me, another gentleman jumped in as a friend of mine and wanted to, instead of share my accomplishments and why I'd earned my spot at the table, share my shopping habits, which he doesn't know my shopping habits. And, it's those backhanded compliments. And so I think that we just really need to ignore that and just put our blinders on and just go for it. You offer dessert, right? It's dessert or me.
Thank you so much for your speech today. It's really inspiring. I guess my question is, when you decided to franchise, how did you avoid diluting the quality that you wanted to have for the public? Because as soon as you start having all these different branches, you can't clone yourself. So how did you manage to keep that passion in that number one spot?
It's also a really good question. You know what I think that's like, is having one versus two children. When you go from one business to two businesses, it's not twice as much work, it's 10 times as much work. And that's definitely one of the heads up thing that I give young entrepreneurs when they ask me, what would you change, what would you do? I wouldn't change it, but I would have a better business plan, without question. And I learned too much the hard way. And it was a long time ago when I was very young, and I didn't know a lot of people in the business world, and so I didn't have a good network of mentors and so forth. So I think what's really important is that you have a really good structure. Your policies and procedures are well thought out, they're efficient, they're consistent, they're not really, really long, and it really was based all around the products. If in that specific business, as the products are key, besides the human resources, if you can get a fantastic quality and consistency of the products, and then of course the training comes out of that on how you perform the experiences, that's one of the things that really helped us.
I have a question.
Okay.
Did you end up, when you had your, whatever it was, 4 staff, 3 treatment rooms, or whatever, when you first started the first spa, did you end up having, for that business, an advisory board. We had Beth Briscoe earlier who was talking about advisory boards and, at what point it makes sense to have them and, talking a little bit about governance. But did you do anything formal like that at the time? And
Not whatsoever. I wish I had. I wish that I had organizations like this and conferences like this, because I'd never even heard that lingo before. I didn't have formal business training. I didn't have formal entrepreneurship training. I just had an idea, a passion, something that I thought that I would love to do, knew a lot about as a consumer, and that I would work night and day to make it happen. But having that concept of having a business advisory board or any type of advisory board that you can go to for mentorship, etc., is invaluable. She knows what she's talking about.
yeah, sure. Go back there and go Jill.
Again, thank you so much for your time today and being such an inspiration to us. It's so helpful, and that sort of goes into my question. When you started the spa and you were small, did you go through phases where you thought, is this going to work? Did it work right away? Did it take some time? I find I get to levels and I think, I don't know what to do. I don't know, is this working? Isn't this working? Okay, now we're making money, now we're not. Now am I doing the right things? How did you have those times and how did you get through them?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that that's something that's really good to expect in your businesses and expect in your industries, because whether it's the dollar fluctuation that's going to affect your business or it's a human resource shortage, we've been through this in many decades now, and so we've had bouts where there's been a lot of employees available, and then there's nobody available for work, and so you have these different problems, and you just need to expect it, know that it's not you, and then just again, put your blinders on and think, how am I going to solve this? With the change in the dollar, or the dollar being where it's at compared to our dollar and the US dollar, and then of course affects the majority of the currency elsewhere, we've had to change our product company business, and that's why we're concentrating the focus so much now on distributing Canadian products worldwide, such as to Dubai, because it's costing me an arm and a leg to of course be importing the products from the US, and there's only so much of those costs that I can pass along and also negotiate with my US distributors to the Canadian spas, and so it's a real juggle right now. So without question, expect those. And Christina's idea on business advisors, great idea. And that's one thing I always like to tell people as well, is on mentors, don't try and find one mentor. Just discover what your real challenge is, and then try and figure out, then call Christina and then say, who's the best person in the industry to talk to for this? Because when you're getting to the level that you want to ask, a Christina Anthony, a Joe Siegel, the real business icons in town, they're not going to have time to mentor somebody, but they'll have time, I guarantee you, to help you with that one question. I hope that helps.
And then we're on to Jill, and then over here, and then
Hi, Jill.
Wonderful to hear you. I'm just wondering, we're all here because we're ready to grow our businesses and take it to the next level. And there's always that balance of time and resources and money. When you look back on how you grew your business, how did you sort of make decisions around? We never have all of them at the same time. There's always a shortage somewhere. So what would your advice be around how we make decisions when we look at those three sort of pillars and how we best move things forward based on limitations around them?
Well, I think the time and the resources are definitely tied together, because if your resources are going well, so if you've got a really strong senior management team, or you've got really strong products, or whatever is applicable in your business and in your industry, that often will be very fruitful. I find that I learned this from Christine Day, and I said to her, how do you do it? Because you get hundreds of emails and you're a gazillion times more successful and smarter than I am, and how do you manage it? You've got kids, you've got new businesses, you've got people that you're mentoring. Like, she's just superwoman, she does everything. And she said at the beginning of the day, she sits down and she writes herself a priority list, but there are things that she actually does and she actually gets done. And so sometimes it takes time, to change your habits. I'm still at the point of sitting down and trying to do that list and haven't been successful at it yet. But I think that if you can get the great people to surround you, you get your time and resources set in place, you really do a lot of thought processes about it. I think as entrepreneurs, I don't know about you guys, but I'm just like, go! Where's the problem? Solution! And I think that I need to sit back and plan a little bit more, but with kids and special needs kids and all the different sort of entrepreneurial buckets that I have myself in, and then all these different volunteer aspects that I do, or different crown corporations that I'm involved in. I just picked up another one. I'm on the board of the West Vancouver Police Foundation, but it's such cool stuff, such cool stuff. Not the foundation, sorry, the West Vancouver Police Board. It's a juggle, and just don't be too hard on yourselves.
And the last question, because we've got to get her out of here. Nicolette, hit us.
I'm Nicolette Richey. I'm 3 organic whole food restaurants called the Green Mustache, and we have an amazing advisory board. Half of them feel that we don't need to take out any outside investment, and the other half feel that we could. And so I'm sort of stuck in that place because we were hit by investors right from the beginning. So I'm curious about you, when you took outside investment, did you ever really know when is the time to do that?
I never have taken outside investment. I tried early on working with a partner, even though that they didn't bring outside investment, and unfortunately it wasn't the right partnership, and so that didn't work. It's difficult for sure, because there's so many different ways that you can make that recipe for outside investment, and what is going to be the right thing for you. So I don't know if I can give you a specific answer. I think here's your answer. This Christine Anthony sitting here on that question. For myself personally, outside investment would mean that I would have to have a less control stake. I know that that's not mandatory, but for myself, I just thought, I'm going to go to the bank, I'm going to make them give me a loan, and they didn't say yes at the beginning, and that bank said no, and that bank said no, and then finally, and then I decreased the size of the spa that I was going to build and brought it way down, and started baby steps, and was very fortunate that there was a void in the market for that type of product and service at that time, and it grew fast. And with that growth of cash flow, I was able to conservatively invest it and grow everything. Yeah. And I am so sorry that I'm screaming away from here, but I am very excited, as Christine mentioned, because it's Minister Carla Qualtrough. She's the Minister of Sport and Disability for our federal government. And we've been very fortunate in working with our autism project and our charity with municipal governments, been very generous, and provincial government's been very generous. But the feds haven't given me any money yet, and I'm going to go get some money. So that's where I'm headed. Thank you. Thanks,